Well, it's been a while. Sorry for the long wait for a video. For those that do, watch my videos and stuff. I guess you've seen the title. Looking back, going down memory lane, essentially. I mean, it's just wild, that all this time has passed and so much has happened. Especially with the whole Fortnite stuff. Obviously we had AIDS spray, my original content where I was doing trailers and I was uploading my school projects, and then, to nowadays where, I'm talking shit, I'm outing people that deserve it. That sort of shit. I mean, it's fucking crazy, But I guess I wanted to, take this time to, have a look back at those days. The times where I'd do very nice and blank, and then I'd upload those school projects, the whole AIDS spray saga. And then, we eventually went into just uploading Fortnite content, videos, secrets, that sort of shit. I'd do a few secrets here and there. I'd do the little voice shit that was in. And obviously, Chapter 2 rolled by, and that's when I met, Thuns. I met Nins, Andy, Pure Slop, Thunder's Pops. And just looking back on those days, Fortnite's death being the big thing, Season X, Fortnite's death, and then Chapter 2 being the last ever, decent chapter we ever had, where you could see that the game was done and they actively did not know what they were doing anymore. They had zero plans anymore. Chapter 2, Season 2 was the season where we found out that Tim Sweeney literally only planned for 3 seasons. Well, 13 seasons, sorry. 3 seasons for Chapter 2. He had only planned out that far. And it shows that ever since then, they've just been winging it, and they've just been making worse and worse decisions. And talking Chapter 2, that's when I met John, Pigs in uniform, Jedi Master Pigs, Jedi Pigs, now Cortana, yada yada yada, it's wild looking back at those days when building was skill, you had to learn how to build, where nowadays you press one fucking button and it builds the entire Eiffel Tower, it edits for you with just one button, all this shit. Where nowadays you can't play one fucking game without going against fucking 10 separate cheaters, or 9 separate cheaters. You'd get lucky if you'd get fucking, 4 cheaters in squads. Or even fucking, trios, you'd get lucky if there wasn't 4 people using cheats. Just looking back on those days, thinking back to them, just looking at how I was a decent builder, I was an offensive builder where, John was more defense, he was more of a defensive builder rather than offense. And all that shit, But I mean, it also really shows that Chapter 2 was the last decent season, as that was the same chapter where I genuinely I had to take breaks. It was the worst time to play as well. It was just seeing a game that I had fallen in love with fade, slowly die, It was a bleeding horse at that point. It was beating a bleeding horse that just wanted to be put out of its misery. And nowadays they're just beating a dead horse, beating what's left of it. They're milking a dead cow by this point, milking what they can from a already dead horse. It's a shame to see that. Like, chapter 3 was probably the final nail in the coffin for Fortnite. I mean, the first season was god awful. Season 2 of that chapter was the first time everyone actually played it, and there was a consistent player base where, it was rare to find bots where if you wanted to get multiple crowns back to back, you actively had to have a Nintendo Switch account. But nowadays you can easily get that shit. You just gotta fuck up the cheaters early game. Once they're dead, it's just bots that you gotta worry about. And even then, you just see no one in a match. It shows because everyone essentially quit Fortnite during chapter 3. That was the nail in the coffin. We had John, he left to go to DBD. He only really came back when, the festive mode came out, the music mode came out. Came back for a little bit, and even then, that didn't keep him hooked because he hardly played that shit, and when he did, it was for a couple hours, and he'd fuck off and never touch that shit again. But yeah, it shows the massive decline. I mean, obviously, my content pivoted because there's no content in Fortnite. There still isn't any content in Fortnite. I mean, nowadays you just have everyone that got big off of Fortnite, you see them just buying fucking views, so then people think that they're watching, so they stay in the algorithm. So, they still make money off of being put into people's recommendations, and, you've got all the little kids for years now that they'll just see that shit on YouTube and they recommend, and they'll be like, oh, that looks interesting, they'll click on that shit and watch it, and then that's how they make their money, But yeah, it's fucking crazy looking back on those days where I went from, uploading my school projects to my very nice and blank, series, and then obviously I had my haunted series that we don't ever talk about that shit. That shit was just fucking making content to make content. We had a little react content, which that didn't last long at all, because I was like, bro, this shit ass. And to top that all off, I couldn't upload the same video as my homie because YouTube would have a little cry about it. So it was like, there's no point reacting. There's no point reacting with friends as well, because we can't upload it without it, being flagged and taken down and all that shit. And then getting copyright strikes for that shit. So it was never worth it. Then obviously there was the Stream and Z versus live battles beef. I mean, that was just fucking views. It was just starting shit with each other just to start shit with each other, It was shits and giggles essentially. That was just content at the end of the day. And then, yeah, obviously we did the whole Dead by Daylight saga, where it was just straight Dead by Daylight. I was jumping between two friend groups, I had my friend group with Thuns and Nins and all that, and then I had, my friend group with John, Oreo, and back when, us three would play Fortnite, it was, Oreo was our builder, he was the fucking goat when it came to building. He was fucking cracked and shit. He was our sweat. Just looking back on those days and, all the good times of that, grinding P100s, getting hyped when, John was the first P100, for fucking Meg, first Meg P100 to ever exist. It's fucking wild. And then helping him out with all his other P100s. But yeah, obviously that didn't last long. I mean, lasted a few years, yeah. But it was going to eventually come to an end. But, you know, despite all the treatment that I got, treated like shit by Peach throughout that friendship, by John, you know, throughout all of it, just sticking that out, I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy in a sense that I didn't see it coming, especially like before the whole fallout and all that shit. Like genuinely, he wouldn't be where he is now if it weren't for me. Like truthfully, he wouldn't have gotten as many P100s if it weren't for me. Because looking back, I carried the ever-living fuck out of that friend group. Holy shit. Ain't no one wanting to play with that motherfucker unless I was there. Like, the only reason anyone would play with him without me is because they just saw that he was online. They're like, fuck it bro, I got no one else to play with. I'ma just ask him if I can play and shit. Like, that was the only time. And like, it even shows that every time I'd show up and they were already playing with him, they would beg me to fucking hop on. Whenever I was already playing, they would ask to hop on. Or they would even consider hopping on because I was there. I mean, it was fucking wild, the amount of shit that I did. And I guess like, the first instance was obviously the relationship with Jeppeth that her and I were forced into by, you know, Oreo and then John, Trey and John. You know, like, that was the first major red flag. And then I'd say the last major red flag that I got was during the Killer Clowns game. Because, I mean, if you look at those streams, there were multiple times where you could clearly hear me say like, yo, I got this achievement to do, can we do that shit, and just everyone would ignore me, or they'd say, yeah, we can do that, and then that never happened. Like, you know, like, it's kind of just, that was definitely where I noticed it a lot. I mean, I was constantly defending him, and constantly helping out with so much shit, you know, reading a room, all this shit, you know, giving him advice about like, yo, this person dropped this motherfucker, dog, they're just gonna fuck you in the long run, you know, and being there for him, especially, you know, fucking telling everyone that he's alright when he couldn't fucking tell them that he's alright, you know, especially when he was having, you know, his health flare-ups and all that shit. And then, you know, how it all ended, saying shit like, I didn't give a shit about his health and I was always making fun of it, when there are countless times and countless fucking people that can even vouch, saying like, yo, the fuck are you talking about, dog? That motherfucker was actively telling everyone that like, yo, he's had a health flare up, he's gonna be alright, I'm just letting you know, like, he can't fucking let you know because, you know, shit's going on, but he's gonna be alright, I'm letting you know, everything's gonna be alright, he's gonna come back soon. You know, like, there's multiple people that can fucking vouch for that. And, you know, like, at the end of the day, it really shows that I held that entire friend group together. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have made any of those fucking friends at the end of the day. Like, even if I wasn't directly involved, because of what I brought to those streams, you know, the fact that I gave that fucking content, you know, crashing the fuck out whenever some stupid ass shit was happening, actively, you know, getting hyped and shit because I was fucking up a killer on over 200 fucking ping, on 260 fucking ping, fucking up killers, looping those motherfuckers, straight twerking on them motherfuckers, you know, like, doing all that shit, and then, you know, that fateful fucking day comes where, you know, they attack me over that relationship with Jeppeth. You know, the same one they forced the two of us into. You know. And like, the fact that John didn't be like, yo, Trey, you can't be saying shit because, you know, when you're with so-and-so, when you're with your girlfriend, you were a straight piece of shit back in the Fortnite days. You were doing the same shit as that Live was doing. And you were toxic as fuck. You were even more toxic than Live. Which, the funny thing is, John himself even admitted to me that Trey was fucking worse in his relationship than I was in my relationship with Jeppeth. Like, that's how fucking wild that shit is. And you know, for him to not do that and like step up for me, being like, yo, you can't be saying shit, dog, because you were a piece of shit too, and instead joining in on that shit, that was the final nail in the coffin. That's why I told him, like, hey dog, I need a break and all that shit. And then him trying to manipulate me and all that shit, you know, trying to control and manipulate me into not taking a break from him, that was the nail in the coffin. That's when I lost my shit at him. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't lose my shit at him. No, I did. And I mean, him trying to bring up my video where I explicitly say in the video and in the title that mistakes were made and it was a mistake, for him to, you know, a couple days after go on live stream and say that I said that shit wasn't a mistake and that you did that shit on purpose, dog, I covered for your ass, and then you're gonna lie on me like that? I mean, I'm gonna tell you the harsh reality. The people that I was going around defending my fucking name, that were actively messaging me asking, yo, what the fuck is going on? Even they were saying in my fucking DMs, like, I don't even fucking know what the fuck this motherfucker's doing. I don't know why he's coming after you. You haven't done shit. Like, you know how fucking bad that made you look? And that just proves my point on me holding that entire group together. Because the second he burnt that bridge with me, that's when everything went wrong for him. And I mean, you know, obviously nowadays he doesn't give a shit. He fucking boosts his P100 nowadays, you know. He doesn't shy away that he's sexist and all this shit. He just does not give a shit. I mean, the fact that he tried to half-ass an apology as well, and I mean, again, you can't even call it an apology, because, you know, that shit was just a full-blown fucking joke. Was just, you know, you can't even call that an apology. That's, like, what the fuck even was that shit? Like, that was kind of where everyone saw him for who he is. It's like, where he was just like, shit bro, I gotta apologize. Like, everyone saw that he was just trying to damage control by that point. Which was, like, I think the saddest point is, even throughout the entire thing, I was still the bigger person, constantly trying to reach out and trying to, like, be friends again. And him, bear in mind, being a 25, 26-year-old man at the time, me being 19 at the time, trying to, you know, fix shit and sort shit out with one another. It's wild that a, you know, 25, 26-year-old couldn't be man enough to hash shit out and just be like, you know, like, I fucked up majorly. I shouldn't have done what I did. I severely apologize. Would you be open to being friends again? And, like, I possibly would have said, like, we can talk, but we ain't gonna be homies like we were before. We'll be friends, but we ain't gonna be homies. Like, that bridge has completely been burnt. But for you to constantly double down, keep lying, keep making shit up about me on live stream, off stream, and, like, the fact that the second that you burnt those bridges, that bridge with me, you burnt the bridge with me, you know, that's where it was just, everything went wrong. Him and Dustin had their falling out and then became friends again. And then the entire group quite literally broke entirely. Everyone fucking left and created a new group with just them, leaving only fucking John out of it. And the only few people that, you know, are still around him and all that shit, have even said in his own live streams and have made it abundantly clear that they are only around him out of fear of him. Like, they are actively afraid of him, and that's the only reason they're still around him. Like, it's seriously disgusting and sad to see that the only people that are around him nowadays are people that genuinely fear him with with their entire life. Like, they're terrified of them. But, you know, like, with all that fucking good, I guarantee, if it weren't for me, minus 10 P100s on his shit, he would be at fucking 23 now. Like, motherfuckers would have surpassed him hella fucking quick. Because, again, when I left, like, the last P100 I ever helped him with before the beef was Lara Croft, bro. That was his 21st, you know, like, minus 10 on that, he would have had 11 fucking P100s, dog. 11 fucking P100s. Like, even then, that's a fucking bit of a stretch, you know. And again, that's just me saying, like, just me helping him out as well. Like, me and him doing that shit, I got him 10. But with all the others, yeah, that's probably another fucking 10 with everyone else that was helping him out as well. Like, the amount of shit that I did, the amount of people that I brought to him because I was there, you know, and then to be, you know, dropped like that, treated like that, you know, I got nothing out of that shit. And, you know, even to this day, he's still lying on my name. He's still talking shit behind the scenes, Garen fucking T. You know, him and his whole little band that he's got left, they're still watching my shit, waiting for the next upload so they can talk about that shit, so they can watch that shit, you know, like, it's crazy the times that we've come to. I mean, the fact that I'm able to read a room, I study motherfuckers so I can abundantly fuck them up and literally end their careers. I ended multiple of their careers by hitting them with straight fucking facts, telling them who they are as a person to their face, you know, as close to their face as I possibly can. And, you know, all their careers completely wiped off the face of the earth, you know. All the times I had his back and all that shit, and he couldn't have my back one fucking time. Instead, whenever I would talk factually, he would have a fucking go at me. He would get angry at me because I stated a literal fact during a stream. I mean, the time where I quite literally announced that the Roblox devs, the people that created Roblox, are literal retards, you know, something that's been abundantly clear, like, they have that fucking disability. We've known this for years. Like, obviously the people that are controlling it now aren't the same fucking people and all that shit, you know, like, they're the newer fucking blood of this whole shit. They're the ones that have fucking been ruining this shit ever since. But yeah, like, it's still funny that the second he burnt that bridge, everyone dropped him. And I mean, what makes it even funnier is he started boosting his P100s after everyone left, because by that point he just did not give a fuck, and everyone was catching up to him because no one was playing with him. He didn't have me, so he had no one to play with. The only people that he has around him are people that only play with him because they're afraid of him. And even then, they don't even fucking do shit. They hardly play with the motherfucker. You know, the entire DBD community drops his ass. He tries to get into the Genshin Impact community. They drop his ass instantly. They kick his ass out instantly. Then he goes to the Marvel Rival community. They kick him out as well. Like, the Call of Duty community, they kick his ass out instantly as well. Like, it's fucking wild about all the shit that happened to him when he burnt that bridge with me. You know, like, it's the craziest shit. Like, obviously, I had fun with proximity chat, talking shit and all that. It was fun as fuck. And, like, that was probably the best time of that time, you know, with him. Is just talking shit in proximity chat. Fucking around all the time, you know. Save the world days, like. And to be here nowadays where we're at a state where everything's political and everyone's too fucking retarded to know literal factual stuff, you know. Yeah, it's wild that we're at this point where everything's at its fucking lowest point, where there's no content nowadays. Like, content creators cannot make content. It's crazy, but even though there's a lot of bad that happened, I'm still grateful for meeting everyone that I've met. Meeting John, even if everything went to shit and we never had a talk with each other to try hash shit out and be friends again. Even though that never happened, like, I'm still grateful that he still came into my life and I still got to spend time with him. I still got to have fun, even though I never enjoyed Dead by Daylight or its community. Still playing it and still having the fun that I did have whilst playing it. I guess I just want to thank everyone. Like, even though with a lot of people shit went bad, we went our separate ways, we don't talk and all that shit, I still wish you all the best, Jeppeth, Victoria, all of you, like John, I wish you all the best, like, at the end of the day, shit happens, but I'm not gonna be the person that's gonna actively try to be like, yo, let's get in a Discord call, let's talk again, like, for old time's sake, let's just hash some shit out, let's just have a fucking good time, even if it's just one last time, one final time. Let's see if we, have that old little, friendship, see if we still have that hominess to us, see if we still have what we had, that have the friendship, that little spark, I'm not gonna fucking do that because I've accepted that could never happen. Even a year later, I know it's not possible. I know it would never happen. It's been 2 years, but still. I know it's not possible, but either way, I'm still grateful and glad that I spent the time and I hung out with all the people that I've hung out with, even the people that I still hang out with. Like, I do care about all these people at the end of the day, even though especially, like, fuck it, I'll say it, dog, I do hate John, but I still care about that motherfucker, like, I still do. I probably always will care about him, I'll still fucking laugh at him and all that shit, I'll still make jokes at him, I'll always, fuck around and all that shit when it comes to him, but, at the end of the day, I do care about that man. I'll always see him as a brother, and I'll always believe that, in a past life, our ancestors were homies, and that's why we became homies, like, I always believe that shit. But yeah, I guess I just want to make a little memory lane kind of thing, have a little laugh, look back at those times. And again, despite how everything turned out, I'm still grateful everything happened. I'm still grateful for all the good times. I'm still grateful for all the bad times. And every time I look back at those days, all those good times, all those bad times, it'll still give me a smile on my face that, I was fortunate enough to have these people in my life, to have these interactions with these people. And I guess we'll see what comes to the future, I guess we'll see if there's ever a day where the whole group, the whole John group comes together and just one final time we all just talk, we sit back, we smoke some crack, we just have that one last chat. We have that one last Discord server where we all talk with one another, and we just go down memory lane, laughing together. making shit fucking jokes together. And maybe someday even with my group with Thuns and Nins, you know. Maybe someday we'll have Andy and all that come back, and, you know, we'll be able to have that as well, where, you know, we just have a whole talk with one another, you know. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for everything, really. And maybe someday that day will come, but if it doesn't come, I want you all to know I am fucking grateful for everything. I'll always care about every single one of you. Even if I hate you, there will always be a part of me that'll care about you and will always want the best for you. You know, that'll want you to get better. That'll pray that you get better. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. And if this is the last video for a long time, then I guess I'll see you guys around. Very nice.